Dude, I saw you post about the Noble thing. I mean, we had talked about it a little bit, but it's cool that they're gonna actually have you on their website and stuff. That's crazy.
I'm gonna be famous, baby.
Gonna be on the no. Well, explain to the people what that is. Like, tell them what happened.
Oh, we're just getting right into it, straight up.
Mm-hmm. Let's do it. I mean, you could. Do you want to do the intro and then we'll jump into that, just so people know.
Guys, welcome back to another episode of The Cook and the Coach. I'm Baeza, I'm the coach.
And I'm Kenny. I'm the cook. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for listening, watching. We're happy to have you. So, Baez, tell us about Baez is about to be famous, so I want everyone to know why.
Well, first, before we get to that, I gotta say to the people, we back.
We back.
We back. I know we were gone for like, what, 2-3 weeks?
Something like that, yeah.
I got a couple texts, got a couple DMs saying, yo, where were you guys at? Listen, me and Ken, we had to figure out. We figured it out. We back on track, all right? We back. Yeah. We never left you guys. We just needed a little hiatus. We'll be back.
True. We're back to
we'll talk more about it later. But to address your question, Ken.
Yes.
Yeah, so I posted, my friend Laura, she's a photographer.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted more just pictures to put on her website, put on her Instagram, just to like show people whatever. So she invited me and a buddy of hers, and we just did a couple photo shoots. The funny thing about this is I don't even own the shoes. They're not even my shoes.
Oh yeah. Were you saying you borrowed them from someone just to wear them for a picture?
From the homie Chris. He let me borrow the shoes.
That's funny.
It's so funny though. It's so ironic because he was like, "Yeah, you can wear these shoes and tag NOBULL. Maybe they'll like sponsor whatever." It was like a complete joke.
Wow.
We're like, oh, haha, yeah. And then just a couple of days ago, NOBULL like hit me up, and they're like, "Hey, can we use this photo for like one of our product line shoots?" We're like, "Yeah." It's like, "Yeah, nice. Please, yeah,
yes,
do it,
please."
So obviously, Laura's the one who took the photos, so I needed her to get her credit. So I said, as long as you give her credit, do whatever you want. I don't care. Right. So I guess apparently they're gonna put the picture she took. They're gonna put it up on the website, wearing the shoes and stuff, because they're actually coming out with. They're basically relaunching that same exact shoe.
Okay.
So they're using that picture on the website when you go to click on that shoe, my picture will pop up. You'll get to see that.
That's so cool. That's crazy, man.
Yeah. So
we'll have to when it goes up, we'll have to like share it on our Instagram or something, just to spread the love so everyone can see it.
Yeah, for sure. It'd be kind of cool that like for at least a few weeks, that, like when people go on our website and click on that thing, they'll see my face, which would be kind of weird to think about,
Yeah, that is cool. Yeah, I wonder how many people are going to see it. That's because they're a popular site.
And it'll be even cooler is that because they're like they're a clothing company, but they mostly sponsor like CrossFit athletes,
right?
And like during a time when they have that picture up, will be a time of the CrossFit Games.
Oh, that's right. Round. Yes.
So they're gonna have a lot of high traffic during that time, which will be even cooler.
That's so cool. So CrossFit Games, they're back. I know there was a lot of drama around in the CrossFit community, but they're going forward with the games.
We talked about it on this show. They actually had the first couple of rounds of the games online this past weekend. So obviously with Corona and everything, they can't do everything in person because it's not gonna happen. Right. So they had 30 guys, 30 girls. They all went through 7 events virtually online. They would like send like official to like judge them as they do their workouts and stuff. So now they narrowed down to the top 5. So now they're having 5 girls and 5 guys go to the original home of the CrossFit Games in Aroma, California.
Okay.
And that's what they'll compete to see who wins the CrossFit Games.
Where is Aroma, California?
It's like I think it's like right between like San Francisco and LA. It's like if you drive like halfway, the halfway point, it's like right around there.
Oh, interesting. That's cool.
Yeah.
So that's really cool that they're doing that. One thing about NOBULL, So just kind of a random thing. At the food truck I work at, apparently NOBULL reached out to the food truck like before I was working there, because they were participating in some cooking event, some sort of larger festival or something like that. And they were
Yeah.
like, "Hey, we'll give you guys shoes for free. We'll have them match your aprons and your branding and stuff. Like, do you guys want them?" And so like the whole team's like, "Yeah, we'll take them." And so I was thinking like, oh, maybe I'll get some NOBULLs. I keep on saying NOBULLs, like New Balance. NOBULLs for, also that sounds like noble, like NOBLE. Is that what they meant to do?
I have no idea. I
I'm
couldn't tell you.
just interesting. I wonder if that's it. Anyways, I was gonna get some for the food truck, but they're very narrow, and I have wide feet, and I just don't know if I could fit into them. Like I was reading the reviews, and everyone said that they were like very narrow shoes, and I don't know. They look really cool. That like the kind of fly knit type look that they have is really sweet. I like them.
Yeah, yeah. I just think it's really funny how like this is no shade at all because that's the home team. That's who I ride for. But everyone knows I'm a big Alpha Leaf fan, like through and through. Like I'm always tagging in my shit. Same with like Inaka and like other brands. Like those are like the two brands. I'm like I wear them every day. Always tagging my photos in them.
Right.
And they've reposted my stuff. They like my stuff, which has been really cool.
That's cool.
But then like I wear a pair of NOBULLs that aren't even mine, just in some random picture that I only did one time.
Sure.
And they hit me up to like use my content. It's like,
oh wow,
it's like a weird thing, like
sure.
I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know.
That's very interesting.
But no, it's I actually haven't really thought about it that much. It's just I feel like people keep bringing it up to me, so it's like that's kind of a cool thing to think about.
Yeah, it is. It's just a unique thing, and it's a cool time of year to have that happen too. Like it's just with the games and everything. So what do the games entail? Like what are the types of events that they do? Is it the types of CrossFit exercises that you would normally do in a CrossFit workout, or are they more specific or intense or something?
Yeah, it's just basically, the goal is to find the fittest man and fittest woman on earth. So we'll put them like a series of like workouts and tests.
Interesting.
And whoever wins the most points at the end wins CrossFit Games, is crowned the fittest person in the world.
That's a bold statement. That is a very bold statement to be able to proclaim that.
I don't know. I think while I have mentioned my issues with CrossFit before in the past, I do think that there is some validity to that statement.
Sure.
I mean, I can make the case for why not, but I mean,
yeah, it's like the Patrice O'Neal bit where he's like, Americans are so arrogant, like the NBA will win a championship and they'll call themselves world champions, and they didn't play anyone else in the world.
It's like you're not wrong.
Yeah.
But you could argue against it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not
right,
wrong,
right, right.
but you could argue against it. So that's how I feel about it.
That's fair.
But I think I've mentioned before in this podcast, I'm not a CrossFitter myself at all whatsoever. That's not me. That's not what I do. But it is entertaining as hell to watch. So I had a watch party with some friends and my little sister over the weekend. That was really fun. And then the top 5 will air in a month. So that'll be really cool to watch.
Cool. So interesting. So do they air that on YouTube, or where do they put that?
Well, it was on the CrossFit like Facebook and YouTube feed.
Oh, cool. So like, is it a live stream type situation, or do they produce it?
Not the first part of it, but the final part of it for a top 5 for both men and women. It'll be live on CBS, YouTube, ESPN. It'll be live and all that stuff.
Oh, really? I didn't know it's going to be on like CBS and that too. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty cool.
That's wild. I can't say I've ever even watched any of their competitions really, but I wouldn't. You said that's going to be
the first time. It'll be the first time it'll be like live in that format. Before it's just live on YouTube. Now it'll be like live on like actual networks.
Sure, I feel that. Interesting. I might have to watch that.
Yeah,
that's cool. I have a quick food segment if we want to do that.
Let's go. Do it.
Cool. So for my food segment today, it is show and tell again. This item I'm about to show actually just came in the mail today, and so I'm very happy about that. I'm very excited. Food storage. I'm in general, when I'm buying things for my kitchen at home, I'm a little bit snobbier. I'm a little bit more particular. when I first built my kitchen, like my first set of kitchen equipment, I had a goal where I was going to keep everything under $300, and I think it ended up being under 400. But I got really quality stuff. I went to Goodwill. I got really good deals at like Savers, and you can definitely find great stuff at places like that. Once you can afford to pay a little bit more for kitchenware, or you are noticing certain problems, it's often a good idea to pay a little bit more, and you'll definitely get your money's worth. One thing I like to do for food storage, rather than doing like plastic storage containers, like Rubbermaid or things along those lines, things you might find at like a department store, or some department stores. I like to do like glass with a plastic top. So I like to do Snapware. These actually just came today. This is not a paid ad, once again, but
Not yet.
yeah, not yet. But yeah, these are great. These I'm a big fan of them. I think they were recommended on Wirecutter. Baze, do you ever go on Wirecutter? I feel like I've asked you this, but I forget.
That's not my thing. No.
Wirecutter is great. For people who don't know, Wirecutter it's like a review site that's run by the New York Times, and they'll do super intensive research on pretty much anything you can think of, any type of product, and they'll compare and contrast hundreds of items, and they'll find some of the best ones. Then they'll recommend them based on budget and stuff. So this was one of the ones on their list at one point. They're really good. I think you can find them at Target now. But yeah, they're like a couple of things just real quick. If you're looking for something like this, this is some of the reasons I like it. Glass proof. So this is Pyrex. So it's like microwave safe. You can, I believe, freeze it, obviously refrigerate it. It's just like really strong, reliable glass that can handle a little bit of banging around. And I like also that it's like a square. So when you're in a kitchen and you're trying to save more space, a really common thing is to use a lot of like square storage or rectangular storage, so that you can put things right up against each other. Like circles can be a waste of space in like a kitchen fridge where you need to save space. So if you are low on space, this is definitely a good move. Another reason I like this, for anyone who's looking for something like this, it's you snap it. So when you snap it, that's a little bit more secure. One thing I don't like, they say that these are leak proof. I have not found that to be the case. Sometimes if you have an actual liquid in there, I've noticed they can leak, but they're still pretty good and they're fairly airtight. But yeah, so they have different sets. You can get them on Amazon. You can get them, I think, at Target and stuff. I have one where it's like a couple, these guys, one of these, which I just showed, and then this, I'm sure I'm boring everybody, but these are really good. I'm a big fan of them. They last a super long time. They're really good with like not holding on to the odor of a food that you're making. And yeah, they're sturdy and they're reliable. So, and you're using, I believe, less plastic, and at very least you're having your equipment last longer. So hopefully you're cutting down on some of like the waste, which is really good for, I guess, the environment, I suppose. I'm not super familiar with how they build everything, but I generally like to go for things that you can reuse and last longer if I can. So yeah, kind of a lot to say there, but yeah, check it out. Again, they're called Snapware, and I would recommend if you're looking for something like that. Boom. That's all I got.
Now, is there a reason why you prefer the glass over the plastic for storing things, or just personal preference, or is there like an actual reason behind it?
So, in a lot of kitchens, you actually will use plastic. It's usually like, if I understand correctly, it's like a higher quality plastic. And you do that because basically you just have so much volume. Things are constantly moving around, and I just don't think you want to risk chipping things or breaking things. You wear things out pretty quick, so I think you just have a sturdier plastic. When I'm at home, I don't have to worry quite as much about the volume, and I'd like to use less plastic, and just I'd like to use things that I can reuse as often as I can for a tool like that. So those are kind of the main reasons. The other one just being like, again, like you can microwave this. If you microwave some like Rubbermaid, not that Rubbermaid's bad, I've definitely used them before, but like Rubbermaid, if you use it often, like it's really common for them to say you use like turmeric or some sort of spice that can color, things really easily. That can easily stain something like a Rubbermaid. Also, if you put a cheaper plastic storage container in the microwave or something, sometimes they can just get weird. They might, some of them, if they're really cheap, might melt or have some issues, but otherwise they just are kind of not as reliable. So yeah, that's kind of the main reasons why, but kind of a little nerdy thing, kind of impromptu.
Wait, you can microwave glass?
Yeah, if it's Pyrex. So Pyrex is like, here, I'll show you just a sec. I'm going to stand up really quick. So you can definitely microwave glass as long as you do it right. I mean, you can't like put it in the oven. But so, for example, these are like measuring cups for people not watching the video. Pyrex, they're super good. They're heat resistant, and they can withstand a beating. So you can put hot water in and cold water in shortly after, although it's probably not recommended. If you did really hot water, then really cold water with just a glass, just like a glass like this guy, just a thin little dinner glass or whatever, this would shatter immediately. So,
right. So it depends on the glass.
Right. So I believe it's tempered is what the word is. And I'm sure you know this, but if anyone's not familiar. So I believe the word is tempered, and they're just really sturdy with Pyrex. So yeah, I'm a big fan of it. Yeah, that's what I got.
Love it.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm going to give you a couple wise words from the podfather himself, the GOAT, the one who is the king of this podcasting game, Joe Rogan. You have to ask yourself sometimes, am I actually injured? Or am I just being a little bitch? Now, for myself, it's a stressful time. Like you've been talking about last podcast, lots of changes going on, a lot more workload, busy schedule. So it's been hard to get my workouts in like I was doing during quarantine. But I've adjusted. I kind of cut things out that were kind of not necessary, but, I don't have to do. So kind of figured my workout schedule. It was going great. And then I hurt my pec. And I really hurt it. Like nothing tore that we know of, but it's not happening. Also, my lower back's been kind of sore. I've been having a little bit of pain in my hamstring, a little bit of pain in my hand, in my other parts of my back. Here's the thing. I had to reassess. I reassessed my pec. That's not happening. However, I've been still able to do squats and deadlifts. Now, this has required me to do a few more extra minutes of warming up, really making sure that my glutes are turning on, the fire pattern is the correct way. I'm not, pulling with the hamstring or back first. I'm always going with the glute first. Back movements, some are okay if I'm going mid-back. If I'm hitting lat, not happening. Can't do it. Even I discovered Friday, certain moves on my shoulder, I can't do it right now because it's hurting too much. But lateral movements, they're okay. I can keep doing those. And I was squatting today. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to because, I was really tired. Back was hurting a little bit. Legs were really sore. Hamstring was kind of acting up. But I warmed up slowly, took my time, did what I had to do. And I actually ended up having not a great day, but a decent squat day. So, guys, I really want to encourage you while you're working out, if you have a tweak, you're not sure if you're injured or if you're just being a little bitch, take some time, warm up slowly, assess the pain, assess the range of motion, just take time to assess all that. If you have a guy like me, like Josh Wentz, I'm going to plug him right now, The Wellness Habit on Instagram, or you can just type in Josh Wintz, WINTZ. You can just figure out, is this something I feel like rest for a while, or is it something where, hey, just warm up properly and you can go. Maybe you can go halfway, 75%, but I can still go. So guys, just when it comes to tweaking yourself or injuries, take time, assess it, and Also, when it comes to energy levels, listen, Ken knows this. I'll even tell you guys everything I do. I'm like 24/7 machine, all right? I got shit to do every single minute of the goddamn day, all right? Sometimes, when your body's tired, you do need a rest. Sometimes you do need a rest. Sometimes, you know what? Today's extra rest day. This is not happening. Can't go today. Too much to do. Too much stress. My body's breaking down. Other days, you gotta suck it up and get it done. It is what it is. You know what? You're tired, but you gotta get it done. You have no choice. Go ahead and do it. So it looks like different for every single person, but take time to figure out when you need to rest and back off, or when you need to put your foot on the gas and keep on going. So that's my coaching segment for today.
I love that. I have a quick follow-up question for you on that. In terms of warming up, and this might even be a whole different coaching segment or something else, but are there different types of warm-ups that you would recommend for people, or like basic categories of what people can like search for on YouTube or anything like that? Like, I know that's something where I sometimes run out of ideas in terms of how to stretch and warm up properly before a lift or a workout.
That's like an entire episode, along the whole segment.
Yeah.
But I will say, if you are doing a workout that's going to be more leg dominant, make sure your glutes are activated and firing properly. Make sure your posterior chain is fired properly. If it gets out of whack, that's how big injuries happen. So just to keep it very short, very basic, when you run, jump, whatever, the firing pattern in your body that happens is your glute max fires, then your QL in your back, the small of your back, the muscle that gets sore every once in a while, that fires, and then your hamstring will pull. If that connection messes up, if your hamstring fires first or your back fires first, but not your glute, that gets out of whack, forget it. That something's gonna hurt. You're done.
Wow.
So make sure your glutes warm up properly, and that if they warm properly, you have a better chance of having a more successful workout, more smooth workout. You're gonna feel better afterwards. If you do something that's more upper body related, make sure you warm up your scaps. All right, it's that the little bony thing in your back. There's a whole subset of muscles around that area. Make sure that is warm, because that's where everything is derived from. Any shoulder movement, any arm movement, even when you're bench pressing. The most important thing is that your back is warmed up. So your scap, and then after you warm up your scap or up your lats right here, that muscle, the big muscle in your back, make sure those two things are warmed up. You'll be good to go. All right?
Nice. Very
Again,
cool.
that's a whole long session about a different day, but yeah, no, that's the gist of it.
That's fascinating. Love it. Sweet.
Ken, I do want to address, I think this should be the name of the episode. I talked about it a little bit before in the very beginning, but hashtag we back.
Hashtag we back.
I've been thinking about this today actually while I was working out. Is I feel like the last episode I think a lot of people were feeling the same things that we were feeling. A lot of people reached out, asked me about that, about how like we're going through a transitional change, whether it's COVID shit, everything's opening up. Yeah. Maybe not fully, but things are starting to open up more. Sports are coming back, both pro and then high school, where I'm coaching. Sports are back in the fall, volleyball and football, which I'm super pumped about.
Yeah.
In our personal schedules, we were trying to find a rhythm with our new responsibilities. You got a new apartment, new work stuff going on. I got new work stuff going on, new responsibilities.
Yeah.
Even don't go too deep into this, but new relationships. We were trying to find a rhythm and trying to figure it all out. But I feel like yesterday, today, it's like everything in life has kind of found its groove and its rhythm, and it's like we found our rhythm, or we're kind of back to a regular routine in life and stuff like that. Do you feel the same way, or do you feel like you're still trying to transition, or how do you feel about it?
I'm getting there. I think I definitely feel better than I did when we recorded last episode. I feel even better than last week or even a few days ago. I think a good example would be I will make like a checklist on like my notes app on my phone of, okay, here are the things I need to do tomorrow to have like a really successful day and get all the stuff out of the way. And every time I make one of those lists, almost without fail, I end up putting so much on the list that it turns out to be like a 2 or 3 day long list of things to do, if not a week or more. So literally I made a list, I want to say last Monday, and I've been, adding and removing stuff as things happen, but there's still things on that from like a week ago that I'm still working on that list. And that's partly because I'm just ambitious. There's a lot to do. Sometimes just things take a long time. But yeah, I'm trying to make the apartment feel more like home. I'm trying to figure out more just job stuff, and things along those lines. But I mean, honestly, recording the podcast has been helpful. I've been like exercising a little bit more frequently, which has been good. Um, yeah, stuff like that. I have plants, as you can see, a couple of my plants to my left. This is a snake plant, and this is a golden pothos, and I have a couple orchids to my left as well. So I'm learning how to take care of those, um, and that's actually it. Weirdly helps a lot feeling at home. But that's good to hear that people reached out and felt similarly, though, because that's nice. I feel like we had one of our more authentic conversation. Not that we aren't. Yeah, I just feel like it was more authentic than usual in our last episode, which is cool. So that's good to hear.
I mean, even though I feel like I've gotten to like the groove of things, I kind of figure out, okay, this is my schedule for say the rest of 2020. I kind of got this figured out. I feel this.
Yeah.
I know what I have to tackle and handle each day now.
Yeah.
It still feels like I have to tackle 12 things and I only have time for 7 of them. But
yes,
it is nice to have like a routine and rhythm that like at least I can plan ahead and try to figure out holes here and there where I can use my time to make those things happen.
Definitely.
So
absolutely.
I mean, football's back. We're opening up.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Hey,
so
back, baby. Podcast is back. We back. Everything's back. Let's go.
Very surprising about the football thing. That's pretty exciting. So what changed in that decision? Did they just come around to it, or because I know that was a whole thing in Minnesota for high school football.
There's been a ton. Well, I think it was a trickle effect. I mean, NFL never said they weren't going to play. They stood firm. Then they started. Like a couple days later, all the Big Ten and the Gophers, they said, hey, we're back. F it, we're back. And then, throughout the past several weeks, there's been pressure from not only seeing other states do high school football, but also the Coach Association here in Minnesota really put a lot of pressure on the State High School League. Had a meeting with them. They voted, and they said, hey, they voted volleyball first, as they always do. And just like it's like the first time around, volleyball got voted in, and then whatever volleyball did, football followed. Except this time it was in the players and coaches' favor. So, yeah, happy about it.
Wow.
It's definitely going to be a weird, different season for many different reasons, as far as crowd capacity, as far as just dealing with COVID in school and stuff like that, and even number of games we're allowed to play and stuff like that. It'll all be different and weird, but I mean, hey, it's happening. This team we have here is numbers-wise is the strongest in school history.
Okay.
Like, yeah. So,
that's crazy.
We lost a little of our conditioning and endurance with the 3-week period of being gone, but I'm confident we'll get that back. And when we do, I don't see a whole lot of teams in our state beating us. So
that's exciting. I feel like a lot of those teams are going to be under conditioned. A lot of they've been in the same boat, similar boat.
I think once we get our conditioning back, I don't know if there's going to be a team out there that can stop us. So I'm really excited. It'll be good.
That's very exciting. I'm happy for you. I know that you were really hoping that would come back. So that's really cool. Love that.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
I watched Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, which is one of the things we were teasing last week, and then we ended up not getting to it because we were just talking about this stuff. But this is
Talk about the weekend. Talk to me.
Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. So it's the 3rd movie of the series, and it is by far my favorite one that they've done. Well, okay, for people who don't know, we should preface because this seems very out of nowhere. I have never watched Harry Potter. Baez has. I have never read the books. I believe Baez has. I have just started watching these movies recently with my younger sister because she's been reading through the books and then watching the movies. So we've been watching it together for the first time. So me and Baez like to talk about art that we like, random just things that interest us. So I was like, oh, let's talk about it on the show. So every time I watch one of the movies of Harry Potter, we do a segment or part of an episode about what we thought about the movie. So it's kind of like me remembering or Baez remembering what he saw of it, and me just seeing it for the first time. So that said, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, third movie, came out in 2004. So good. The
Was
tone
it
is
04?
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was a long time ago, 16 years.
Yeah.
Really good. My favorite movie of the Harry Potters so far. Right now I'd rank it.
You liked it?
I would rank it like, well, I know they don't go by numbers, but 3, 1, 2 would be the order for me. 2 is a slight dip in just in how I enjoyed it. Yeah. Do you remember much about Azkaban, about that movie, or has it been a while?
I remember that I really enjoyed it. I do like the character of Sirius Black. I thought he was interesting and cool.
Yes.
How the
And
writing
Sirius Black is
the writing was much more solid.
Yeah, the writing is cool. They reveal stuff in a really interesting way. So Sirius Black is, I'm bad with the names of any movie or story I've ever watched in my entire life. Sirius Black is the one who's trying to kill Harry Potter, correct? Or he's the one who's, he's like, or you think he's trying to kill Harry Potter. Like there's a rumor that he's out to kill Harry Potter at the beginning.
They make him out to be evil.
Right. Yeah, I thought it was really interesting. They definitely got me right from the. I mean, they basically said, yeah, it was good, man. I liked it. I really liked the professor.
What do you think about the score?
I liked the score. I liked the score.
Yeah?
I thought
better than number 2.
I think so. Yeah, I think it was a lot better. 2 sounded it reminded me of like Star Wars, like Episode 2, and it just felt off to me. I don't know why. But I actually think I was reading something. I think that they were nominated for an Oscar or like an Emmy or something, or I don't know, some award for their soundtrack. But yeah, the one. So spoilers, obviously. The professor who turns out to be a werewolf, I really liked him a lot, and the whole movie I was just like waiting for them to ruin the character for me and be like,
wait, well, that was the same. That's the same one.
Yes. Yeah.
Huh. I'm tripping.
So the guy.
Oh yeah, no. You're right. Yeah.
So Harry and the gang get back to Hogwarts, and Harry's told that Sirius Black is trying to kill him, and then he meets this new professor who's really nice, and I guess knew Harry's parents back in the day. But then you start to get these weird things, like sometimes he's missing. You start to get these strange vibes, but he seems very trusting. So, and I was like, please, like I saw it coming from so far away. I was like, don't just ruin him. He's such a good character. He's one of my favorite characters in the show so far. And then, yeah. And we can come back to how they ended it. But I just was like, oh, this guy is great. Also, what they did with Snape was really interesting too, because he seemed like he was trying to protect Harry the entire movie. Which I thought was really interesting. At least that was the vibe I got. Because it was like, he seemed like he was like trying to prep Harry for a werewolf or Sirius Black or whoever who was going to try to come get him. And so that's why he was like taking over the class and like, turn to page, whatever. So 264 or something. And yeah, I just really thought that was interesting because I feel like it's just so interesting because Snape doesn't get that much time, it seems like, in any of the movies, but his presence is like very tangible throughout the whole show or the whole series.
You're always aware of him.
You're always aware of him.
They just mention him.
Yeah,
they don't mention him. You know what I mean? They won't you won't see him a lot, but they'll talk about him when he's on the screen.
Right, but he's just not in there that much, which I think is really interesting because they just don't have. Yeah, I don't know. If this movie was made now, I feel like they would have way more scenes with Snape. And I like that they don't. I feel like that's really good. Do you remember like any favorite parts you had about the movie? I feel like I'm just like blabbering.
I liked the way they introduced a lot of the new characters, like Sirius Black, Professor Slughorn. I'm I'm trying to think. There's another character that I think they introduced, but I don't want to give it away if they haven't introduced him yet.
Okay.
But I like the writing though better than this one. I think this is one where like the writing really starts to take off and just go up on a trajectory, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, the writing's great. Like the dialogue is good, and the way that they unveil the story is really good too. Like all the twists and such. I mean, they totally had me. I mean, honestly, they actually had me so believing that Sirius Black was trying to kill Harry that the ending twist of the movie totally confused me.
Really?
They totally juked me. I was so confused, and I actually rewatched that scene before this to kind of remember how it all went down. It made a lot more sense on the second viewing, but my siblings had to explain to me like, no, the rat or whatever, Tom Weasley's rat was, there was a spell on him or something. He was the one who killed. Yes, Peter Pettigrew. So he was the one, I guess, who killed Harry's parents. He had been friends with them and betrayed them. And two of Harry's parents' other friends knew about it and wanted to kill the rat, aka Peter, and one of them was in the prison of Azkaban, and I don't know why the other one didn't, because he was a werewolf. I that confused me, but maybe he was just looking. Well, I guess he thought he was dead until the map, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I guess that makes sense.
Yep.
But yeah, it was like I'm still piecing together some of it. But what do you think about going back to the very beginning of the movie? What do you think about how incredibly fat the mean family is that that Harry has to live with? Like how he inflates the family, and like they're just like gluttonous. They're a gluttonous bunch.
I actually think it's good for the movie because it adds like a more cartoonish vibe for it.
Mm-hmm.
So because it's more of a cartoonish feel, it makes all the ridiculous magic feel more believable.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, just because it's
so like
very.
I mean, it's Harry Potter. You know, it's gonna be magic and sorcery and different shit. But like the fact that they're like these fat, like cartoon, like evil characters, like kind of like sucks you in just a little bit more. So everything else that happens in the movie is just believable.
Right.
Totally. You know, so that's when I was like, because this movie, they kind of amp up the ridiculousness of it with a werewolf, a rat that turns back into a human. So it's like less of like crazy stuff happening. So I think the fact that they made that deliberate choice to make him like fat and big and larger than life, no pun intended, I think definitely helped out the feel of the movie.
I think so too. I also like that Harry, as like his character is developing, he's more annoyed with, he's actually like, furious with the family and like is more fed up. He's getting a little bit more untethered, a little bit more angry, which I think is really interesting.
He's a teenager now.
He's a teenager, and I feel like that's cool because he's not just like he's not just, I don't know, obedient, I suppose. So that's really cool. I like that.
That's one thing that's really cool about the movies is like, as like the main characters grow and develop, you know, in like the storyline, you actually get to see them like literally grow and develop and like kind of become like these kids to basically 17, 18-year-old almost adults. I get to see them like through that process, like watch them through the years. Is like, it's kind of a cool feeling.
It is cool. It is cool. And what I like too is they don't seem so much older than they seemed in the previous movie, even though I'm sure like they were growing like crazy. Like it doesn't seem like crazy growth spurts, which is always something that must be a nightmare to plan with child actors. Like I'm thinking of Stranger.
Even.
It does.
It doesn't the right progression.
It doesn't feel too jolted. Stranger Things is another show that's done that pretty well. I'm trying to think of shows where they've done
for this one.
Yeah, I know, because they're just the new season. They're just like so much older. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of shows that've done it really poorly, but I can't think of anything off the top. I feel like Chronicles of Narnia, they aged faster than I expected. I feel like that was one that kind of caught me off guard a little bit, but I don't know.
No, I feel like they aged appropriately.
Think so? It's been a while.
The books take longer apart than like a Stranger Things or like a Harry Potter. Like the stories take a few years apart, so to me it made more sense.
That's true. I suppose you're right. One weird other change, speaking of growth spurts. So I'm reading on Wikipedia right now. So They're saying that the scale, I'm just reading this. So the scale model of the Hogwarts exterior designed for the first film was expanded by around 40% for the Prisoner of Azkaban. 40%. It's so
Wow,
much, yeah, right? Isn't that crazy?
that was kind of crazy, actually.
It's just like what, and I like about this, it's brazen, it's bold. It's like you're not stuck. If you made a mistake, not even made a mistake, if you had budget restraint or constraints, if you had something we'd like to have been better in an earlier piece of art, just change it. And I
If you
kind of
gotta
like
change it,
it.
you gotta change it.
You got to change. You got to change it. I like that. It's you're not necessarily married to whatever you like a mistake or something that could have been better in a previous movie. I like that a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah.
That said, it is hilarious that like when they're flying around with Buckbeak and it's just these super grand, almost more like naturalistic, real looking set for Harry Potter or for Hogwarts and the surrounding like region. It's like, oh wow, this is almost like a more mature vision of it. It just was interesting. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
That's one of the things that you kind of have to tap your cap off to, because I mean, there's a number of movies like this out there, but not a ton. But there is some out there like this.
Right.
But Harry Potter, for technology in its day, like maxed it out and used it perfectly. Like the visuals,
Yeah.
even though you could kind of tell they're not as good as today, but they still hold up really well. The visuals still hold up really, really well. That's something to say for 2004, compared to today.
Totally. And one thing, just from a slightly more technical or visual perspective, I love their use of transitions. They're very playful. In all three of the movies, they've done really cool things with that. Like, I'm forgetting which movie this was. It might have been this one, but I remember there was one shot where they were outside of Hogwarts and then they were like tracking, I think it was Harry, and I'm spacing on the girl's name, Emma Watson. Or Emma, yeah, Emma. Thank you, Hermione. Those two are walking, and then outside of Hogwarts, they go in, and then the camera like comes up and then goes into Hogwarts, and then they're like walking in there. It was like just a cool visual thing. You don't see that type of like time cut or time jump transition that often in movies, just that seamlessly. Also, sometimes, if I remember correctly, in the first or second one, they had some cool, just weird like diagonal or like just strange like sweeping type transitions. And I guess you can get away with a little bit more if it's aimed for more of a family audience, but it's like, yeah, it's fun. It's a movie. It gets you kind of more into it. It's like stylized. I like that instead of just like a hard cut to the next thing. It's nice.
I feel like movies back in that era spent more time focusing on transitions, where I feel like directors today focus more so on like close-up shots on faces or like the camera angles like during a scene. But I feel like back in the day there was more focus on actual transitions. Does that make sense?
I think so. I think it's partly
That's
just
how I
an
feel,
evolution
or
of it.
I've noticed.
Yeah, I'm speaking from someone who doesn't know anything about it. It's just like my guess would be it's just like an attention span thing. You're trying to cut to the next thing quickly. It's probably honestly social media has something to do with it, where it's just like let's do faster cuts. Why are we waiting for a slow fade in or something like that? I feel like a fancier or like more indie movie will have a slower transition.
A Wes Anderson film.
A Wes Anderson film, dude. Yeah, I don't know. That's just my thought about that, but yeah, I thought the effects age pretty darn well. Like they look good, and the way that they incorporate the magic, like I don't know, it just feels. This is gonna be dumb to say, but it feels kind of real. It feels like you're kind of in it.
No, totally.
Which I like, and
totally.
Their use of light is cool too, where you actually, I think something that movies do well, and I actually think this is something that ages a movie pretty well, is when they show less with special effects, like they use more shadow or extra bright light and get around certain things. So, for example, when Harry's at that forest lake near the end of the movie and he's doing that spell, there's a lot of bright light and you can't see a lot of stuff. You can't see a lot of the details, but rather than it looking messy, it just looks like intense from Harry's perspective. And I think it would have looked worse if you really try to make it super detailed and showing exactly what it was. So like
I totally agree.
So seeing less of it actually is more. A similar thing would be like in Lord of the Rings, when, again, spoiler, like when Gandalf comes back, and like just like certain use of light when the things are super whited out or like very shadowy. I think you can get away with more with that, and it kind of makes it just feel more real. So I liked that too.
Yeah,
I feel like
I agree.
they chose good stuff with that. I overall like
Definitely.
I loved it. It's by far my favorite one so far. And I was reading on Wikipedia too that a lot of people really liked how the tone shifted a little bit in this movie. I feel like it, and I resonated with that. It seemed a more mature or intense or suspenseful movie than the other two, which were a bit more playful and storybook esque. Um,
Yeah, it's exactly what it is.
yeah, yeah, and
Exactly
I
what it was.
mean, I think that's cool because, like, say for example, when they're on a really good, because so that's actually a good, an interesting point. So when they're on that bus after after Harry inflated his whatever stepmom or whatever it would be, um, adopted mom or whatever, and he's on the bus and then he's on the train with everybody. Like that, even that juxtaposition is like from like very silly and like whimsical to like a very like scary, suspenseful, intense thing where there's just mist and like frost going on the windows and just
Mm.
natural elements, which is cool. It weirdly reminded me of like Winter Soldier, or not even Winter Soldier, just like something about like the Marvel Captain America series. Something about that train scene made me think of that. I don't know why.
It reminds me of like when they're in the mountains in yeah, Civil War. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
like when Iron Man and Cap are fighting and stuff. Kind of reminds me
Hmm.
of that.
What's the name of the mean kid, the mean blonde kid? I always forget his name in Harry Potter.
Draco Malfoy.
Draco Malfoy. I was thinking about this earlier today when I was rewatching some stuff. He always looks like he just cried, and now he's mean. Like he cried by himself, and now he's like pretending like he didn't cry, and he's just
That's how
being
the
a
actor got
dick.
ready. He would cry before a scene, and then he'd be a dick during the scene. That's how it worked. That's how they shot it.
Right? Honestly, that's I wouldn't be surprised. He just
Yeah.
he just has like a dick dad. He's just so annoying. He's just like cliche annoying. Just
That's kind of the
cliche.
point of the character, right?
He is. He is. I'm just from a. If I knew the kid, I'd be pissed off at him. He
Oh
annoys me.
yeah, sure, sure, sure,
Because
sure.
how annoying. That's got to be so rough. Also with the Game of Thrones King Joffrey or Prince Joffrey, whatever the fuck. Imagine being cast because you have like a hateable, punchable face, but
You know,
you're
kind of after
attractive.
that scene, after that, right?
I know, but you're like visually appealing enough to be like on TV. Like you look nice, without being weird or anything. But just like you're camera ready, if you will, and yet you have just a face that everyone wants to hurt. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's got to be so shitty. And yeah,
Yeah,
you're right. Like the kid from Game of Thrones retired after
because he
that
wanted to,
show.
not because he was being bullied or anything, but because he wanted to. But yeah,
Right. But I get it though. I mean, you're playing like a super dark, hateable character. It's like, and also at that level too. Is
yeah.
the Draco kid? Does he act at all anymore? I feel like it's got to be hard to.
Here and there, yeah, yeah, he
Really?
is.
Has he been in any stuff more recently?
Nothing big, but like little TV episodes here and there. He'll be.
It's got to be so hard to get uncast from such like a world. You know,
Yeah,
that's
definitely,
got to be
definitely.
impossible. Like watching. I keep referring to other fantasy movies, but Samwise Gamgee, what's his nuts from Lord of the Rings? I'm forgetting the actor's name, but he played
Sean
Rude.
Austin.
Yes, Sean Austin. He
But
played
he's played
Rudy.
so many different characters. Like I don't see him as just one thing. To me, he's at everything.
He's one of the few
You
people who's
know,
like done it well, but I still see it. I see him, and I
you
first
know
think
who
of a
it's like.
Hobbit.
Is his co-star Elijah Wood. I have a hard time seeing him as something else. Not him. Not the guy who plays Samwise. Does that make
Interesting.
sense?
I saw Lord of the Rings when I was young. I didn't see Harry Potter, so I don't have as hard of a time uh, seeing Daniel Radcliffe in other stuff because I'm just like, oh, he's that guy who was in Harry Potter, but I never watched it, so like I didn't really
Right.
associate with that. Um,
Right.
but yeah, Sean Astin has been in like Rudy and obviously Lord of the Rings. He was also in Stranger
Stranger
Things
Things.
season
Yeah.
2, which was
Well, yeah, a lot of
hilarious to
things.
me. I'm trying to think of other
Well, he
stuff,
was
but
also in the Goonies.
never saw that.
Neither did I, but I know he's in it.
Oh man, was he younger when that was?
He was a kid.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's one of those things. It's got to be so hard to do. It's like, oh yeah, you were so good at something, and now it's like, how are you gonna not be that anymore? It's like, it's also
Right.
that thing, like for example, like a Robert Downey Jr., where it's like you're Iron Man now. It's like it's hard for me to see you as playing other things.
But no, but what about Sherlock Holmes?
Yeah, but he's basically just playing British Iron Man as Sherlock Holmes in that. It's basically just that character.
No, I don't see it that way.
Really? I totally see that.
Fair
Not that he
enough.
did poorly, but yeah, I don't know. It was good. I really liked it. I think I'm gonna be watching the fourth Harry Potter movie in the next couple weeks. Very
Well,
excited
wait,
about
Ken,
it.
you even talk about the biggest change.
Hmm.
How do you feel about new Dumbledore?
Oh, um, I liked him. I thought he was good.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think um, he has kind of like a playful energy, which I like.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's got to be so intimidating to replace the previous one. I'm forgetting the name of the actor, but that's just got to be
Yeah, I'm
so
sure.
intimidating. I was reading a little bit about that, and yeah, it's just kind of crazy. So the actor who played Dumbledore in the first two movies, apparently he died before the
Yep.
second movie came out. And then yeah, it's like imagine trying to fill that. So yeah, I think he was like really kind of like mysterious and like playful, and I also thought it was kind of cool because there's like whole time traveling aspect of this, and so he's very like understated, like saying less, like when Harry and Hermione go on that whole time traveling thing and they save Buckbeak from being executed, and they kind of look back and see all the stuff, and then they get back in time. Um, and then I forget exactly what they say, but it's just like, oh, like you made it or something like that. Just like a super short little thing, almost saying nothing and acknowledging that they just did this whole huge adventure. I like that. I feel like that's a really good like little nod.
I think that's one thing that the writers, even the first two movies, I think what they really do well with Dumbledore is, I don't know if J.K. Rowling knows this in the books, but I've seen in the movies. I think it's good throughout the whole series. Is Dumbledore isn't given like a crazy amount of lines, so when he does speak, his words do hold more gravity, more weight.
Right.
Right. So I really appreciate that part of it. I think you see that definitely in Azkaban, that like his dialogue definitely carries more weight in the movie when he's on screen.
For sure. Yeah. Going back to what you're saying too about the writing, like I just really enjoyed it. Just the little things that they sprinkled throughout, like Hermione always being late to class. Um, that was really good. And then just these little
Mm-hmm.
hints with Snape and the professor who's the werewolf. And then really like almost like redoing the climax of the movie almost. Like doing the climax of the
Mm-hmm.
movie twice was a very interesting like structural move. I thought that was really cool.
Well, I mean, it's in the book.
I mean, well, sure. I'm
Yeah,
just saying from like a story perspective, it's like, oh wow, you like
sure.
told
Yeah,
pretty much the same thing again, slightly different perspective, but it was still like interesting the whole time. Like, yeah, I thought that was
you're
cool.
still invested. You were still like suspenseful about it.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I don't know, I liked it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have too much more to. I don't have too much more to say about it. I feel like I watched this movie like 3 or 4 weeks ago, but I liked it a lot.
Do you want to finish the episode by talking about your Denver trip?
Um, I don't have much to say about it, but I went to Denver for the first time a couple weeks ago. Fucking great, loved it. It was really cool. I've always wanted to visit, never been. Um,
Cool
took
city.
some. It's a cool city, yeah. Because you went there for a choir trip, like
Mm-hmm.
a choir tour
Yep.
thing in high school, which is really
Yep.
cool. Yeah, it's just sweet. I'd say the city is like similar size to like the Twin Cities, and then you have a whole just awesome mountains in the background. What sucked
Yeah.
and which was out of our control was that basically we we went with David Paulson, who's been a guest on the show. We drove out and stayed with a friend from a roommate actually from college. Um, we were driving out and there were fires going on in the mountains in Colorado when we were driving out. And so there was like very eerie clouds when we were coming in. So it was like, okay, you can hardly even see the mountains. Like we were in the foothills and you just couldn't see it. You're still like a few hours outside of Denver, maybe even in, I want to say Nebraska. But yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is a lot. And then the good news is, for the mountain's sake, precipitation happened, which kind of quelled the fires. It was snow. So it
Right.
snowed like Monday into Tuesday, I want to say. And then it was just kind of slightly less shitty each day until Friday when we left. And that was like a beautiful day. And then apparently it
Right.
got even more beautiful after we left. And then when we got back to Minnesota, it was raining. So it was like a solid week of shitty weather. I took some cool pictures. I used those moment lenses I have showed on this
Oh yeah,
podcast.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Tried those out hiking and got some cool shots. I'm hoping to share some of those on social at some point. But yeah, saw a lot of elk, which was fun. Heard one
Mm,
bugle. I heard an elk bugle, which is cool.
yeah.
Um, and did some cool hikes. And yeah, without getting into too many details, yeah, it was a fun time. It's fun.
Get into all the details, Ken.
Well, that's okay. That's fine. That's all right.
Different episode.
Different episode for a different time. But yeah, this is good. I'm glad people are seeing just a tiny little smidgen of the new place. At some point, once I get a couch, I might be shooting from a slightly different spot. But
I got to see a new place a couple times.
Indeed.
Great spot. Great location.
Thank you.
Probably the best rooftop view of Minneapolis that I've been to. It's just a really cool place.
Thank you. Yeah, I think saw a little glimpse of that on last week's show. Sweet. Well, I feel good. How do you feel? Yeah, I feel good. Do you have anything else?
Now, guys, thank you for listening. Like I said 10 times again over, but we back.
Back.
Yeah, man. It's been exciting. Getting the swing of things here in life and everything. Instagram, podcast, The Cook and the Coach.
Mm-hmm.
On Twitter, The Cook and the C1. Find me on Instagram at BAEZATENSEIE. That's where all my stuff is at. Yeah, that's all I got. Ken, you got anything you want to share?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, a couple different pages. My personal page is at KPMartin2. Might be sharing Denver photos from that on that at some point. Also, I have a food page at Haymarket Catering. I have a post coming up for that in a little bit here too. And then I also do music. And if you look up Kenny Martin Bucket List, anywhere music is streaming or available, you should be able to find it. It's free. So yeah, check it out.
All right, guys. That's been another episode of The Cook and the Coach. We will see you next week.
Peace.
Have a good one.